Okay, I'm going to show you the algebraic way to do this. There is a way to do this with a compass, but you have to be really precise, and it's kind of a bailout way to do it, but I'll show you that another time. So you don't need the grid for this. Instead, to find a perpendicular bisector, you need to find the slope, because that'll get you the perpendicular part of it, and you need to find the midpoint, which will get you the bisector part of it, and then you put it into the equation. So to find the midpoint of -1, 1, and 7, -5, you add up the x's, -1 and 7, which is 6 divided by 2 is 3. You add up the y's, which is 1 and -5, which is -4 divided by 2, which is -2. So that's your midpoint. Now we're going to take care of the slope. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. The second y is -5. The first y is 1. The second x is 7. The first x is -1. So -5 minus 1 right here is -6. 7, leave that opposite, is 8, with 1 is 8. Reduce that to -3 over 4. But I don't want -3 over 4. I want perpendicular to this. So I want positive 4 over 3. So there's my slope that I want to use, and there's my point that I want to use. Then I plug it in here. There's my 4/3. There's my x. There's my y. -2 equals 4 plus b. Subtract 4 and you get -6. So the equation is y equals 4/3 x minus 6. So I went through that pretty quickly, but you can stop, rewind it, go back. Slope, and then take the perpendicular answer to that. Midpoint, and then plug in your point, your midpoint for x and y, and your slope here, and come up with the equation. Let's try number 2, same thing. The midpoint would be 8 plus 0 divided by 2, which is 4, and 2 plus 6, which is 8, divided by 2, which is also 4. There's my midpoint. The slope is my second y minus my first y, my second x minus my first x. 6 minus 2 is 4, 0 minus 8 is -8. That reduces to -1/2. But I don't want -1/2. I want positive 2 over 1. That's the slope I want because it's perpendicular. So I plug in my slope, my x and my y. Subtract 8 and you get -4. So my final answer is 2x minus 4. Choice A. Number 3, the midpoint would be -4 and 4, which is 0 over 2, which is 0. And then 2 plus -4, add up my y's, which is -2 divided by 2 is -1. That's my midpoint. My slope is my second y, -4, minus my first y, which is 2. Then my second x minus my first x. Careful with the negatives. -4 minus 2 is -6. Leave that opposite is 8. That reduces to -3/4. But I don't want -3/4. I want positive 4/3 because it's perpendicular. So then I'm going to plug in my slope of 4/3, my x of 0, my y of -1. Anything you multiply by 0 is 0, so b is -1. So my final answer is 4/3 x minus 1. And the final one, you add up the x's, -4 and 2, which is -2 divided by 2, -1. Add up the y's, 3 and 5 is 8 divided by 2 is 4. That's my midpoint. The slope is my second y minus my first y over my second x minus my first x. 5 minus 3 is 2. Leave at opposite. The bottom is 6. That reduces to 1/3. But I don't want 1/3. I want negative 3 over 1 because it's perpendicular. So the slope is negative 3. The x is negative 1. Y is 4. Negative 3 times negative 1 is 3. Subtract 3 over. B is 1. So I have y equals negative 3x plus 1. Perpendicular bisector.